You're listening to the Career Jump Podcast. Insights, interviews, and success stories to inspire and give you the edge when you make your next career jump. Hosted by your career concierge, Andrew McCaskill.
Hello and welcome back to the Executive Career Jump Podcast. I'm your host and career concierge, Andrew McCaskill, and I'm absolutely delighted today to be joined by Trish Mullen. How you doing, Trish?
I'm doing well, thanks, Andrew. Thanks for inviting me on.
No, I've been obviously wanted to get you on for a while, so it's great to get the time in the diaries, and thank you so much for doing so. Just really quickly, for people that haven't interacted with you before, can you tell us a little bit about your background and the type of stuff you get involved with?
Sure. I'm a military veteran, Andrew. I served for 22 years in military intelligence, left there, went into social work, left there because I was working at the wrong level, having been used to being a decision maker. So that'll be interesting for some of the listeners. And then I have worked the last 19 years in career guidance for the forces. So delivering 1 and 3 day career transition workshops for all ranks, all services in the military. And I retired mid-November and I'm now helping people as part of my consultancy. I haven't got it firmly set up, but that's what I plan on doing.
Yeah, no. Well, fantastic. Thank you for your service, and thank you for helping with the transitions as well, because it's a tricky period for individuals, isn't it, when they're leaving the military?
It is very tricky because number one, they're far too modest, they're nothing special. And the very first thing I would say to them, I would make the analogy of them being an actor on a stage. As they sat in that classroom, you're all actors on a stage. That costume you're wearing is your uniform. And what we're trying to get you to do is just move to the edge of the stage and start, stripping off from that uniform. I had to tell the Marines, I don't mean literally, just, and then help you to find out who you are under that. But modesty is the main thing. They just see it as doing the job and nothing achieved.
Yeah, I'm lucky to have worked with Craig Elvin, as I've said to you before, who we've had on the podcast previously. And he also explained to me kind of translating military experience into the corporate language is a challenge as well. So just before we dive into the rest of the podcast, just for any of our listeners who are either serving or are maybe 1 or 2 jobs into the career post-military, what would be your kind of key tips for people who are going through that?
Yeah, my key tips for anyone leaving the military is that language you speak just now is a language you learned. You now need to unlearn it and speak your old language. And again, I make an analogy of if you've learned a language at school, French or German, or like I did French, German, and Latin, it's easier to look at the foreign language and translate it back to your own. So that's how I would always say to them, get to the end result. If you want to be a facilities manager, supply chain manager, look at least 10 to 15 jobs on LinkedIn. And that's the language you need to speak. So start translating it back from that. That's a foreign language to you right now. Translate it back into military speak and then use the foreign language. If you're looking at a supply chain manager job, start going through the problems, the bullet points. And if you think, I've done that, that's what you should be bringing into your CV.
Yeah, typically pragmatic and actionable tip there, which I love to hear. So thank you very much for sharing that. Now, I'm a big fan of quotes, Trish. I love quotes. So I just wonder if there was a particular quote that you like or that...
I always loved the George Bernard Shaw one, which was, take your time to get the career you want, or you'll be forced to take the job that you get. And that's something I'm really passionate about, is helping people taking that time to find out who they are. It's one step that's missed by most job seekers, Andrew, because this skill of job search is something that's not taught in school or at university. They might be shown how to write a CV, but there's so much more needs to happen before then in order for them to have a sustainable career, something that they're going to come away every day with a great sense of satisfaction and really feel fulfilled. And they can't do that unless they really know who they are. So that's where I would start.
No, I think that's great advice. And a lot of people kind of go out to get the career they think they should get, or to impress or please other people, parents quite often if you're early in your career. What kind of process should somebody go through in terms of understanding what they want? Because I think that's part of, that's a really big battle for some people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge battle because no one's ever shown us how to do this. And the last thing any of us like doing is looking inwards, looking at ourselves. We'd rather just look out. So really, what steps should they go through? The first thing they should ask themselves is, when was my last brilliant day in work? Now, it might have been yesterday, it might have been 5 years ago, it might have been 10 years ago. What did that day consist of? What was so good about it? And what I certainly found working with all of the military, and when we asked that question, or when I asked that question, it seemed to be around autonomy. It seemed to be around being respected, being valued, being acknowledged, and being a kind of a subject matter expert, Andrew. So I think that's a really good question to ask yourself. When did I have a fantastic day at work? And write down every single thing that you did that day. And because what you'll find underpinning all of that is a strong sense of your values, what your values are. Because values are so important and they're underestimated, but they're what drives us.
Of course they are.
What drove me to leave my job in a really good job that I loved. I've loved every job. I'm a bit of an anorak. I've never not liked a job. I love it. That's what made me walk away. And no resentment, it just had to happen for me because it was my values. And it's something I think most of us would never compromise on, as values. I don't know if you agree or not, but it's difficult to compromise on them.
Well, people try, but that you can only wear that mask for so long, can't you? And there is consequences, basically, to not aligning who you are with what you're doing. There's consequences, and your values really shine through. I mean that genuinely. That was one of the reasons, just from our brief interactions previously, that I was keen to talk to you. And one thing I thought was interesting is, the fact that, you've decided to go on your own at this point. I'm guessing, you could have retired. You could have, stepped back.
Yeah.
But something in terms of your values said, no, I've got some more to offer here. So tell us a little bit about your journey and why you've decided to continue to take on, coaching and guiding and consulting with people in transition.
Yeah, I think because of the people I've worked alongside, Andrew, I've worked with amazing people. My boss always says to me, you recruit really good people, Trish. So I'd got involved and I completely changed the whole way that we recruit and moved it towards a skills and behaviour thing from a competency. I'm not saying we were getting the wrong people, but I've always worked. There's something, and I think it's values again. I go back to, I must be looking for those, because there are not many Trishes. Although our director used to keep calling them Trish 1, Trish 2, they're not, and some of them are guys anyway. But what made me do this, because people have always said how good I am with people, and I just know that what I'm offering, Andrew, by way of support, empowering, holding people accountable for their own job search, helping them acquire this skill. I do think it's a skill, and every one of us should learn how to job search properly in order to be happy, because look how long we spend in work each day. Why not just be happy? Why not take your time and really do the work, do job search properly? So, and having interviewed thousands of people over the years, I know that it's not out there. People don't know how to do this. So it's a passion, a real passion I have. And also about going back to, I don't know if we were on camera or off, when I said about everybody deserves a place in this world. You might not be academic, but you have got something to offer the world. And it's just somebody believing in you and helping you to believe in yourself. And that's what I love to do, help people believe in themselves. There's nothing drives me, fulfills me more than that. Just seeing that wee light bulb come on and they start, I'm working with somebody right now. It came on yesterday and it's just outstanding for me. That's what drives me, that.
What a tremendous message. Love that. And, you know, we've seen loads of people jump on the job search bandwagon and the career coaching bandwagon opportunistically in the last 12 months because of the way the market's going. But yeah, the real purpose-driven people like yourself really shine through for that. You mentioned you had a pretty good track record on the hiring side of picking people and this idea of looking for skills and behaviors. What kind of behaviors did you look for in your recruits when you were interviewing? What kind of things were you looking out for?
The very first one, humility. Above everything, I don't think I'm humble enough. I'd love to be as humble as lots of people that I've recruited. Humility and being genuine. That's the two above everything, because sure, when you've interviewed people, you can tell when somebody's putting on an act. And that's why I moved the company to this skills and behaviour recruitment, because there's no hiding from these questions. I put in place an assessment centre with 2 role plays for management. One role play was around an underperforming member of staff, because I think too many managers don't deal with issues, and that breeds resentment amongst the team when they see their manager putting their head in the sand. So that was one of the role plays, and the other one was stakeholder management, which is really important too. Yeah, so it's humility, it's being genuine, it's having a real passion for this role and this organisation. So I want to hear and see evidence and have them demonstrate what research they've done and what this role means to them, because in my last role there for 19 years, we were a people-facing organisation. Our clients, our military people meant the world to us. And I always said in every training session I did, you get it right by our customers and you get it right by the business. Do not focus on the business. That's for people like me and others to focus on. You just focus on our customer and you'll not get it wrong by the business. And I think that's a really important message. So there was someone I interviewed, and I hope he doesn't listen to this, but I don't mind if he does. He was a tuba player in the Royal Marines, and I recruited him to do career guidance and facilitation, so to be able to go in and deliver workshops. And you might say, what was it? And do you know what? It was his absolute passion. He really wanted to do this. He really wanted a chance. And I'm all about taking chances on people, Andrew. I always recruit for potential, always. And do you know what? He's brilliant because he was so keen. He was hungry to learn. And I've always said to every person I recruit, you show me hunger and I will feed that hunger. But if you're prepared and you want to come in and just do your job, the bare minimum, I can't fault you for that. But that's really not what I'm looking for. However, I can't fault you for it, but I'll continue to feed those that are hungry. And I have. That's another thing our director always says. There's loads of people really quite high up in the business now, one at global level, that I recruited at the lowest level. It's because amazing. I even encourage people to leave. Do you know that? That might sound really alien, but if they've outgrown that job, it's really not in their best interests or ours for them to stay. So they would really have a lot of self-belief by this time, because I recruit potential decision makers, made my life as a manager dead easy. And so they'd really grown and they'd outgrown the role. And I knew there was better and bigger out there and more salary for them out there. So I would encourage them, give them confidence to leave and support them, find them jobs, support them through the process.
Yeah.
Always.
And quite right too. And I heard Netflix used to offer people money to leave.
Did they?
And their view was that if you would take 3 months cash to leave, then you probably should. Because if you weren't bought into the longer term and it made sense to you, then you should. So they would incentivize people to leave, knowing that that would mean it was the right thing for them and the company.
Yeah.
What an interesting strategy, right? Like,
I've always done it, and quite a few have left, but they're still on the periphery. You know, they don't move far, and I'm still in contact with them all. But yeah, I've always loved my job, as I said, because I'm very loyal, and I don't know if that's a military thing, but I'm very loyal. If somebody's paying me a salary, they will get 120% from me, always. And that kind of commitment. I don't demand it in others. I kind of expect it. But
no, there's some great guidance in there, Trish, because I think a lot of candidates put on an actor interview and feel like they should be going in and bigging themselves up and selling themselves
yes,
hard. And
yeah,
whereas
no,
actually, going in a, I don't want to use the word authentic because it's overused, but you get the point. Going in an authentic way and letting your humility and your self-awareness in particular. I like self-awareness, which is a different form of humility in many ways, isn't it? But that
it is.
self-awareness shine through is great.
And just be themselves, Andrew. That's the best advice I give anybody. Just please be you. Please be you when you start that application, when you write that CV, when you do that cover letter, and definitely when you get to interview. You're only good at being you. You're not good at being somebody you think that hiring manager wants to see or hear, because if you do that, you're wearing a mask. It's not authentic. They're buying into something that's not the real deal. And I've had it happen to me. I've had the wool pulled over my eyes a couple of times, and you think 3 months down the line, what the heck have I bought into here? So you're not going to be happy because the alignment just isn't there. What you need and want isn't aligned with what that employer needs and wants and the values. So
100%.
be yourself.
Be yourself. And to any hiring managers or hiring leaders listening, that goes for you as well.
Absolutely. Don't even get me going on that one.
Yeah, it's another podcast there. But a lot of them are kind of overselling opportunities, overselling the environment, which just leads to a crash when people do go in. So that's no good either. So both sides of the hiring equation on that.
Hey everybody, it's Andrew here. Just wanted to very briefly interrupt this podcast episode to tell you a little bit more about our Career Jump Club. So our Career Jump Club was created to help job seekers understand what they want and how to get it, right? So becoming a club member is a great move if you're looking to get the clarity and confidence in order to secure your next role. With the membership, you get a number of different things. So first thing you get is access to our online platform, which has over 30 videos, 40, 50 different templates, workbooks, and it takes you through everything from sort of understanding what you want to how to position your CV and LinkedIn, how to interview, how to close offers and negotiate better salaries, a full end-to-end job search course effectively for senior leaders. So you get that, you get a fortnightly group coaching call, which is with me and with the other members, where we bounce around best practice, share slide decks, share techniques, and share the latest data on what's working for people. And you get to, most importantly, become part of our closed LinkedIn group and our closed community. And in there is where the magic often happens, because you get people referring each other into opportunity, supporting each other, and just sharing. And that's what it's all about. So if you're financially able and you'd like to invest in your job search, head on over to www.careerjump.com, all one word, /club, and you'll find the landing page and come and give it a go. We'll see you in there. Anyway, back to the pod.
What about CV tips? Right, people hate CVs, don't they, Trish? It's one of those kind of documents and tasks that is absolutely required, but people don't really enjoy. What are your sort of top tips around putting together a half decent CV?
Well, my number one tip is cut that blooming big profile out and just have, 2 or 3 lines. Really, what's your talent? What are you bringing to the table? And I talked about this on the Easter podcast about your offer and your value. Your offer is the skills that you're bringing over and above what you think they might expect. And the value is you speaking to the employer's heart. That's the softer side. So that would be the first. And I suppose it goes back to being authentic, being real, being genuine. Yeah, cut that big profile down. Actually, get on to, if you look at the organization or the company, obviously you would go into Glassdoor, but don't overlook their Facebook page. Don't overlook their Twitter feed. What are they tweeting about? What would they been tweeting about that last week, this last month? Their YouTube channel, filter it down to this year. Watch their last 5 videos. What are they talking about? What you're looking for is a hook. You're looking for something that's drawn that company to you, because so many people have said to me over the years, there was just something about that job, Tricia. There was just, I said, what was it that spoke to you? And that's the hook. And bringing that into it as well. But cut out all the big jargony type words, just get straight to the point and Be you, because if you think about it, a job advert is just a list of problems. That's all a job advert is. And the employers put that out in display for us all to see. That's their problems. Every job seeker is a solution looking for a problem. So going through, actually analysing the whole advert and going through and looking at each bullet point, how can I solve this problem based on having solved similar? And here we're bringing in the full transition. You don't have to have worked in that industry. It's not so much what you did previously, but how you did it, because that skill won't leave you.
100%. And that's what's replicatable in the future, isn't it?
For life. Yeah. Once you've mastered a skill, you've got it. Don't waffle. Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, I think really, really good. I'm not surprised with your background that you were suggesting we pull out all the fluff, get to the point, know who you are and what you're about. This theme of pragmatism, we were joking about it before we started recording, but I know that's going to feed through the lot.
Can I tell you something very funny quickly?
Go on.
I was interviewing for career consultants one time. Now, this is people that are going to be advising people in transition. And I got, you know, those wee A5 jotters, I call them, with the wee silver rings at the top?
Yeah.
I got 5 pages of that from a potential or a wannabe career consultant, handwritten with the worst handwriting in the world as a CV.
Wow.
So don't do that. That's a tip.
Yeah, geez. Kind of proving your ability to not do the job in your application there, which is not the smartest strategy. A lot of people, your experience, you lived through downturns, you've helped people through transitions, you've helped people who have been struggling with different things at various points. I'm finding a lot of people have found the last 12 months really tough, Trish.
Yeah.
People out of work, I mean, it's been a ridiculously tough job market, right? We've gone from record low unemployment in the UK and Ireland to, where we find ourselves today, which is a different scenario. What can people be doing to look after themselves during this period and to try and, manage the more the mental side of what everyone's dealing with?
I think to do that, be kind to yourself, and if you are job searching, when you don't have a job, that is your full-time job, but don't make it your 9 to 5 job. Get yourself out, go for a walk, walk the dog, go out on a bike, do a run, do something. A wee bit of self-care will just clear that fog, because it can overwhelm you. And also, if you get rejection, don't take it personally, or try not to take it. It's easy for me to say, try not to take it personally. There's a great book I love. You're going to laugh because, again, it goes with my personality. It's called Sumo, Shut Up and Move On. And it talks about when we get knockbacks in life, and it's okay to put the victim t-shirt on us. It's okay to wallow in the mud like a hippo, but you don't stay down there. You get up and you throw that t-shirt off. But just to normalise those feelings are okay, and they're perfectly normal. So, yeah, definitely self-care, but also look at how you're different. Each one of us is unique. Every one of us, if we were all supply chain managers or we were all teachers, every one of us has a set of unique values, unique abilities. What is that for you? Because that's what's going to make you stand out from the herd. And it's, again, going back to this job search the right way, looking at the YouTube channel, watching the videos, doing everything you possibly can to find out about that role and that company. And when you get that feeling that it's pulling you in, why is that? Work on that, because that's what's going to make you stand out. That's what's going to speak to that employer's head and their heart. So work on that. That's what I would say. Don't just follow the herd and do what all the sheep are doing, which is jumping on a company website and quickly applying. Take time to do the job you want, or you'll be forced to take the job you get.
We're back, aren't we? Yeah, that's exactly right. And I love the fact that you mentioned this, this understanding your own unique blend, right?
Yeah.
I often find when we start, people like you and I start trying to help people, they're not even aware of some of this stuff. Someone who started off as a lawyer and is now in marketing, for example, and it's like, you do realize there's not many people in marketing that have come from a law background. So let's delve into that and let's try and work out, what is that? How does that give you an edge over other people in marketing? Or you get some people who are both analytical but creative.
Yeah.
And you go, that's unusual.
Yeah.
You might not realize how unusual that is, but that's really unusual. Most people are either one or two. So how can we get that across to get you an edge? And if you're not sure what your unique blend is or whatever, go and ask people you've worked with. They'll tell you. get some LinkedIn recommendations written and look at some of the themes in there. Yeah.
Or look at when you've, your best day in work, your next best day in work, when you were singled out for praise, what achievements you've done, when you've been in a training course and you've maybe finished in the top 3. All of these are what makes each of us unique. When people have said how good you are, or you're approachable, or you're this, you're that, suck all of that in like a big sponge, because that's who you are. And that's what's going to give you the edge.
Lovely, lovely. Yeah. Ironically, the same humility that we want people to show gets in the way sometimes of them being able to reflect well on that, so it's interesting. Very, very good. What about books that you like, or podcasts that you listen to, or other things that you think are worth people exploring?
Well, I listen to yours. I find them really good. As soon as they come out, I have a real mixture of podcasts that I listen to. The Executive Career, can I tell you 2 seconds, because I've got them all here on my phone?
Yeah,
and Mrs. Hinch?
Mrs. Hinch? Yeah.
I've actually, her and Jamie, her husband, I've got a podcast, and it's the funniest thing ever. So I listen to that. They come out every Tuesday, and I walk round the dog park in absolute fits of laughter. So I've got Andrew. Squiggly Careers is one I listened to, but I didn't really like it. Transformative Coaching, I haven't watched that yet.
What about books?
Listen to that. I have a right mixture, Andrew.
Yeah, is there any
TED Talks? Love TED Talks.
Like TED Talks? Yeah. What do you read? Are you into books or not so much?
The only time I read books books bore me, because it means you've got to sit still and read, which I sit on the internet. But anyway, yeah, Sumo, that's my favourite book. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, more on the.
I don't like theory. No.
Don't like none of the fluff again.
No, but I do like some. I do actually see books that make you think, and I can't think of them off the top of my head now. Books that like the Chimp Paradox.
Oh, that's a good one.
Loved it. Books like that, I've got all them on my Kindle.
Yeah, the Chimp Paradox is a good one. The other thing another good tip, which helped me, because I bought hundreds of books and read half of all of them, right, was there's an app called Blinkist, Blinkist, and what they've done is they've got thousands and thousands of books, and they've made them into either a half-hour read or a 20-minute listen. So what you find is that most of these books have got kind of 1 or 2 core messages, right? And then they just repeat those messages for 300 pages. That used to be my frustration with it. What these guys have done is a brilliant app, Blinkist, and yeah, they've converted them into 30-minute reads or 15-minute listens. So you could basically go for a walk, and if there weren't any fresh podcasts to listen to, you could listen to the summary of 2 books and the core components from 2 books that had been on that list, but you hadn't had the time or the inclination to read yet.
Got it.
Blinkist.
15-minute. My kind of app, right?
Well
I've downloaded. It's downloading now as we speak.
I like your action taking live on the podcast. It's exactly what I would expect. So, what are the other common mistakes you think people make when they're looking for jobs, Trish?
The common mistakes are just not doing the research, not fully understanding what they're actually applying for, not fully understanding what value they can bring to the role and to the organisation. Really not having that higher degree of self-awareness is another one. What else? Just, it's really not been prepared. Yeah. I remember quickly, this girl, I got to the first question that I used to ask in the old competence days was, what do you know about X organisation? And then the next question that followed was, what do you think of our website from an end user's perspective? And she says to me, and she was beautifully dressed now, she says, do you realise you're putting me under pressure? So I just sat back like this, and I just says, if you don't mind me saying, do you realise you're at an actual interview? And I just says, look, I really don't want to take up any more of your time. I don't think it's fair, because a lot of the questions lead on from this, but I really appreciate you taking the time to apply and also to come in today. And I'm really sorry, but I'd like to terminate this now.
Yeah.
There was no point in humiliating her anymore.
No.
It wasn't fair. It wouldn't have been fair.
It all comes down to that prep, right? You should always have the goal of being the best prepared candidate in the shortlist, shouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. And, it's about networking. It's about speaking, getting on LinkedIn, finding people that are working there now or have worked there in the past and having a wee chat with them. Just get a feel for the whole thing. And if it speaks to your heart, then you're going to speak to their heart too, if you're genuine.
And I can back up that Trish walks the talk on this, because we send out a podcast briefing doc to all our guests. And Trish is the first guest in 20 odd episodes to ever return it with her own notes to inform us before we started recording. So
am I the first?
Yeah, the first, yeah. Walking the talk. Yeah, not even Elvin, who's also ex-military. So I'll take the mickey out of him for that.
Aye.
Final question, just before we get on to closing remarks. I'm interested to hear from your perspective, Trish. When should you leave a job? So if there's somebody here that's, thinking about, do I leave, don't I leave right now? Like, what's your view in terms of when you should leave a job versus when you should dig in and suck it up?
You should definitely leave a job if you're getting that terrible ball in the pit of your stomach each morning, thinking you've got to go into this place or you've got to speak to this person or whatever. That's when you should definitely leave, because that's going to affect your mental and physical health. But what I would suggest that you try and do before you walk away is try and do something about it. What's within your control to change here? And it is about getting a meeting with a manager and really telling them how you feel and what you'd like. So don't get into the meeting saying, I just feel that I'm being passed over or something like that. Go in and just say, I feel undervalued. I don't feel that my output is acknowledged. I work long hours. I go the extra mile, and give them evidence of that and what you would like. So a call to action from them. What I would like is more recognition in the form of, and it might be you present to the senior leadership team at the next meeting or whatever. Just, you need that manager to help raise your profile. Always give someone a hand up, not a handout. And managers need that hand up too. They're not infallible. They do make mistakes. A lot of them have been elevated into positions that they really don't have the skills or the experience. Help them.
Brilliant advice. And I always really appreciated it as somebody who was out of my depth in leadership roles at various points in my career, when somebody gave me a shot at putting it right.
Yeah. I love it. If I can help somebody, I just think, again, I go back to me loving every job I've had. I want everybody to love their job. And if they don't, and if I can change that or help them change it, then I will go out my way to do that. And I wish and hope every manager would, but help your manager too, because sometimes internally there's a big struggle going on for them too. And they might have that big ball of fire in their stomach every morning too.
100%. Fantastic advice there. I knew I was going to enjoy talking to you today, and you haven't disappointed at all. For anybody that's listening, what's the best way for people to reach out to you or to find you?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/IN/Trish Mullen, or email me at coaching@trishmullen.com. But LinkedIn is probably best. But I've also got a Facebook page, Job Search Mastery, which I'm building up, and a LinkedIn page. But you better just go down to my personal one in LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn in the first instance. Make sure you follow Trish.
Yeah,
it's a lot of value on there. We obviously met on that platform initially.
Yeah, I share loads of tips.
Yeah, it's the best way to go.
Yeah.
So make sure you follow Trish if you're listening. And thank you so much again for coming on. Great to see
Thank you, Andrew.
Travel safe. Take care.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
You've been listening to the Career Jump podcast with Andrew McCaskill. For more resources and information, just head over to the Career Jump website at www.execcareerjump.com to supercharge your job search and start making moves. Let's get to work.